Welcome to the podcast, Roshinee. Thank you so much for saying yes to having this conversation with me.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for the opportunity and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure. And, I'm very curious to hear about your experience, the industry that you are in, for how many years, and also if you can share something unexpected about you that people usually don't guess that about you. That would
Yeah.
be
Okay.
fun to know.
Okay. Thanks, Anna. So just to give you a brief background, I'm currently based in South Africa and I will be coming to the UAE in 2021. Also, in terms of the professional highlights, I've been in bid and proposal management for 20 years. I'm actually the first person of color and only person of color in the Middle East and Africa for the highest proposal accreditation. It's just that, the industry has grown so much. And I'm so glad that I've given now the chance to explain and be able to maybe give highlight and give career advice to that of the youth in terms of this prospective role to branch into. Because no one ever considers this kind of role in this industry. And it's such a diverse role that offers so many opportunities. So it's really great to be here to let people know that there's something they can look forward to in terms of their career. Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting to hear about and to learn the insights because, to be honest, it never crossed my mind or on my radar such a career exists. But of course, when you look at so many industries, they all have some type of process for bidding, for proposals. So it makes sense that you can actually specialize in this. So definitely we will get into that. But first of all, if you want to share that unexpected thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, for me, I'm also, I've got a daughter. She's 23 years old. She's a BA graduate. She's actually doing a second degree LLB, obviously internationally. So that's something about me. It's besides that, I'm a very passionate person. I love to travel. I love people. I'm very optimistic and positive, and I think that's very important in this time that we're facing to be positive, to have a positive mind frame. And yeah, what about me? Besides loving travel and, I love exposing myself to different people and different cultures and different cuisines, adventurous when it comes to food. Also, having traveled, abroad and visited a couple of countries, I've obviously got to expose myself to different things and change obviously my mindset. My mindset has become so global now because I get to understand different people's perspective in terms of ways of life. So yeah, that's just me in a nutshell. I'm extremely humble and started from humble beginnings. I'm extremely grateful. So gratitude is important to me, so I practice a daily gratitude. I think it's important to have that positive mind frame and be grateful for everything. And I'm also have a very purposeful life. I love doing things and random kinds of kindness and giving people and helping people out. And I think that's very important because if God blesses you, you have to bless others as well with what He's given you. So I believe in the more you give, the more you get. So yeah, so that's just me in a nutshell. Yeah, looking forward to the session. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm very curious to hear. So to give you context, I decided when I started the podcast to have three types of playlists: one for my guests who see themselves as introverts, one for the extroverts, and one for the ambiverts, which is more like a combination between the two of them. And my definition, or the way I see it, is not how sociable you are, but it's more like how do you recharge your batteries. So how do you see yourself, introvert, extrovert, or a bit of both as an ambivert?
I think a bit of both. I think, as obviously I get older, I think I'm becoming a bit more introvert. But having said that, I love people. Do have a bubbly personality, so I'm more of an extrovert. I'm also very outspoken, so that would make me more of an extrovert. But I think also introvert, like I said, getting towards when you obviously get older, you become an introvert because you want that solemn and that peace of mind and that space for you to just be quiet and to reflect on the day. So I think it's just both, a combination of both.
Awesome, great, thank you so much. And so in this episode, we're talking about the bid and proposal management career, right? So when you started, what is something that you wished you knew when you joined the industry?
I never think that 20 years later, this would dictate my life bids and proposal managements. So, I never knew a lot of things when I started the industry 20 years ago, that this is a really respectable profession. And, people look at it as very administrative. So when you go in the role, you may think that there is no journey for you in terms of career plan, in terms of career development, in terms of where do you see yourself in growth in another 5 to 10 years. But when you get into the role, there's so much of capabilities and so much of opportunities that present itself. It widens your whole perspective in terms of what you're doing. So like I said, I never ever predicted that 20 years later I'll still be sticking with this role. Obviously, when you start off early in life, you have different career aspirations. But I went on this path and I stuck with it because I genuinely believe in it. And I believe that it offers you such a variety of roles and responsibilities. So, when you start off, whether, it gives you that broad variety of different skills. So whether you want to be a proposal writer, if you enjoy content writing, if you want to be a graphic designer, enjoy graphics, you have the free reign to design templates and boilerplates for your customers. Also, it gives you the opportunity to brainstorm, use your mental abilities to be able to think out of the box. So in terms of innovation and creativity, it's got a wide spectrum and variety of skills and diversity that your role has. It doesn't constitute you or stick you to a specific function. So, it branches you out. You can start, from being a bid administrator to a bid manager to a senior bid manager, and from a senior bid manager to a head of department, as in terms of driving the whole, bid management team, and then you can end up being a bid director. So there is a very, there is a pathway, a solid pathway in terms of where you want to go in terms of your career. Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And like, if you were to, let's say, advise somebody, well, look, if you are considering this role, what are some skills they would need to focus on in the beginning of the career that will help them grow perhaps even faster?
Thanks, Anna, for the question. I think that, when you're starting off early as a junior, in an administrative role, it's very important to be very planned and organized and systematic in what you do. It's just like, when you basically in an administrative role, you obviously got to have good typing skills. You got to be able to be extremely good command of English, understand grammar and obviously comprehension. And I think also someone that's also, when you're working on the role, don't restrict yourself from thinking out of the box. Look at new ideas, new concepts, new way. We're very, very fortunate that with the international APMP, which is the Associated Management Proposal Professionals, it's basically a huge global community and a global proposal accreditation. So this international accreditation gives the people the platform to be able to grow and develop their skills in proposal management. So when you're in this role, I would say that for any newcomer coming into this role is to be able to have, just the positive attitude, the ability to deal with different people, because you're going to deal with different individuals. It's important to have the personality. It's important to be able to have also to understand basic project management. And also to have that foundation level of proposal management. So the APMP foundation level will give you all the necessary skills you need to start up in the career. So it's something they can definitely look into. Thanks, Anna.
So there are in courses, or they study this at university. How would they go about to, let's say, even get their first role into this career?
Thanks, Anna. That's actually a good question. It was something that was raised recently at the global conference that we had in July. Basically, what happens is that at the moment, there is no university that's actually offering bid management as a career. But I know in India, there is institutes and colleges that are actually starting now to offer bid management as one of their core syllables. So they can do this as a module. So they can be able to understand what project management in terms of proposal management, because although bid management is a very specialized role, universities, I think, are starting to gradually start offering this, and it's very selective universities, and it is a long road because it is something that people should think of in terms of career, but they haven't done this. And if you're studying, I think it's important, like I say, whether you have a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Commerce, it's important to have those as a foundation, and then develop your skills in graphics, in content writing. You can look at proposal management with the APMP. You can do your foundation level, practitioner level, professional level. And then there's lots of other institutes like Shipley. Shipley as well offers, international training for people to understand what managing proposals is. Because when you manage proposals, it's just the functionality. You can go into any industry, whether it's government, whether it's engineering, whether it's to do with ICT, telecoms, products and services. That it's just a foundation role that you can use your skills to adapt into any environment. It doesn't restrict you. So that's important for people to know when they're starting off in a career, that you've got that option to know where you want to go. You don't have to be restricted to say, stick to engineering, stick to project management, stick to this. You can be able to diversify yourself in terms of the role. It's a variety, and that's why I went into it. Because in bid management, you get to work with HR, you get to work with legal, you get to work with technical, you get to work with financial, which is your commercial teams, you get to work with your stakeholders, so there's stakeholder management and organizational management, and there's leadership there. So it's a combination of skills that offers you that variety, and I think that's why I love it so much, is because it gives me that variety to work with every individual across the board of the organization. So yeah, so thanks, and I think that sums it up in a nutshell.
Yes, and I can see this as a great fit for those who have as a need or like a value the uncertainty, right, and the variety, because each day or each project can be different, and because you're working with so many departments, that's beautiful. You can fulfill that inner need by just putting yourself into that environment to flourish. And I can see somebody who perhaps values more the certainty, then I would see them perhaps finding only one side of the business and becoming that expert in that field.
Correct. I mean, you don't have to restrict yourself, like I said. I mean, when you start off in bid management in a very junior role, who's to say years later you don't want to be in bid management, you want to go into HR, because you're dealing with HR people, because of you dealing with resource management, professional services. So you want to go into that role, or you can go into a technical role where you're dealing with obviously solution building, architecture, design of solutions. So you want to go into branch in that role. So you have a variety, depends where you want to go. So it's a good starting point, I would think, as a career as well for young people.
Yeah, and you can develop so many skills.
Correct.
As you mentioned, leadership, communication, negotiation, listening, active listening. Yeah, I'm getting super excited about this career myself.
And Anna, when I started off, I didn't know that, I just kind of put my brain together. I said, you know what, in order to be an all-rounder, you got to study this. And I never restrict myself. And looking at my accolades 20 years later, I mean, I've got now over 45 certifications because I didn't restrict myself. I went into legal. I did contract management, negotiation, and then I did your proposal management, making sure I really, really master that. and becoming professional level and doing my Shipley and APMP. And then obviously from an HR perspective, you get to focus if you're managing teams diverse because you're working across cultures, across different landscapes, different diversities. So HR functionality comes in terms of professional services, line management, soft skills, coaching, you're doing team building, you're doing, all those soft skills come into HR management. And then you focus on your commercial management, which is obviously your, accounting, financial management, learning management finance, you were dealing with exchange rates, you're dealing with different countries, different climates. And then, you have to understand, have a background of all of those that pull in together. So it's a very integrated, like how you work on a very complex deal. You have different solutions that you piece together. So you're working with different people. So it's important to have understanding of everybody and how they piece together in putting that whole proposal together. So it's important to be an all-rounder. So it gives people that variety and diversity. I don't want people to feel like they are restricted. And I think that's why bid management is so different. It's diverse. It offers a lot of functionalities. Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, and I see it as a puzzle, right?
Yeah,
You have so many
absolutely.
aspects, and you can, especially if you
Absolutely.
like puzzles.
Yeah, it's it's definitely, you're consolidating things and you're putting things together, and it can be really fun. I mean, because you're working, like I said, you've got that open mind frame, and you're passionate about people and excited about learning about people. And the best thing is you build so much relationships, and it's about networking and growing, and it's just, you learn so much because you pick up on so much of products and services. Every industry is different. You're learning whether it's engineering and construction, you're learning about roads, water, you're learning about sea, you're learning about transportation. So it's all different aspects. And then when you do telecoms, it's different. It's, your technical, your ICT, your AI, your Internet of Things. So it's different. It's a variety. It doesn't matter what field you're in, as long as you've got that all-rounder mindset and mentality, you can be able to deal with those and adapt to those any environment.
And how would, because I'm guessing now for somebody considering this role, so much information and perhaps it would be confusing. Is there somewhere to find this type of information, or perhaps to reach to like a mentor like yourself to have clarity on the roadmap, on a career plan, so they can be strategic about saying, well, this year I'm going to focus on this, maybe next year on this, so that I know each step of the way, I can know if I'm going in the right direction or not. Is there a place
Yeah,
like this?
absolutely. Yeah, there is. I mean, the APMP is obviously, there's a huge website. I can obviously, share that, because that is obviously the global professional community where you can get accredited. It gives you everything. It's got the, we've got the book of knowledge where you go into the website and it gives you the different tools, the different techniques, the methodologies, everything in terms of how you do bid management. So there is the APMP is definitely that's the first start. And then you've got Shipley as well. Shipley obviously guides the companies and obviously individuals in terms of how they do best practice. It's important to apply international best practice, especially huge corporates and companies. So it's important for the students or university students to be able to understand that in order to align themselves with their career, they need to apply, global standards, and obviously understanding, how companies work, how organizations work, the thinking behind it. And I think also they can do lots of research. There's enough research on bid management. I'm actually doing right now my dissertation, my master's dissertation on bid management. So there's lots of places and avenues in order to get information on it. And also I'm available. So if anybody needs any help and guidance, I'm definitely there to support them.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you
Anna.
so much. Thank you. I'm very curious if you had any setbacks in the beginning of your career, and if you had them, how have you dealt with them, and what kept you going?
Thanks, Anna. I think, setbacks are important because that's a journey in life. Always life is not smooth. The journey ahead in terms of your road is going to have bumps along the way. You're going to have blockages and potholes. And I think that you need to be an overcomer. I think the comeback is much stronger than your setback. So I must always remember that. Everybody has stumbling blocks. It's how you pick up yourself and move again. And I'm a generally positive frame mind individual, self-motivated. I believe that, every day is a gift from God. So you have to be able to make a choice when you get up in the morning. Are you going to slug back and just roll yourself into a ball and feel sorry for yourself, or you're going to get up and make it happen? And I think this year has been evident of that. Last year, if I think about it, being retrenched twice in 3 years because of the South African economy and because obviously the coronavirus, it has set back, being a single mom, it obviously impacts one's life. And I started to say to myself, you know what, I have this capability. I love what I do and I'm passionate about what I do. It's important for me to pull myself out of this, situation and to make myself more available to people to understand, the role and functionality. Obviously, I was fortunate to be given a lot of platforms to be able to share my thoughts and obviously my skills and learnership that I've developed over the years. And I'm also been grateful that I've been now on the international board for the diversity and equality and inclusion. So that makes me so much gratitude towards, because I believe that nothing and no one can stop you. You always say nothing is impossible. I'm possible. Always remember that, because I think also being a woman, we seem to feel sorry for ourselves and feel pity because we work predominantly with male environments. I think it's important to have that belief and that inner power and inner drive to push you forward and keep pushing, because somewhere doors will open, opportunities will open, and if opportunities don't open, you create those opportunities for yourself. And I think it's if you have a belief for yourself and you, like I said, self-motivate, nothing and no one can stop you, because we have one life. Make the best of it. And I believe that everyone has special, and everyone, there's a whole world out there, and there's enough space for everybody and everyone to share their views and to be given the opportunity and platform. Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's so inspiring to hear your perspective on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
I'm very curious, is there a piece of advice you received when you started in this career that really changed how you looked at things?
Thanks, Anna, for the question. Actually, I was fortunate to have a lot of good leaders in my life. Good management. I was very fortunate to have really good, bosses. And I think when I started early in my career, one of my bosses said to me, or managers or direct reports said to me, never underestimate your abilities, because you were destined for bigger and better things. And he said you were born to shine, and that's important. And I think, looking back early in my career from how far I've come, I mean, I'm now like a public figure in proposal management. I've done so much. I've published articles, been in the press, and I've really evolved in the years. And also, as I've evolved, it's also years of self-discovery, discovering who I am as a person as well. So I found my niche, I found who I am. And that's important advice for young people as well, is that keep on evolving, keep on experiencing things. Things are going to obviously never go the way you planned it to be, but never hold back from fulfilling your dreams and aspirations, and never underestimate your true potential, because you have so much more the world has not seen as yet. And really go out there and do your best and make it happen. That's what I'm, yeah.
Yeah, it's so encouraging, and it's so, valuable that you had those leaders, mentors, perhaps in the beginning of the career, because
Yeah.
when you're young and you're a bit shy or insecure, we have a bit of anxiety here and there, or perhaps we don't know how to phrase the right things or how to say the right time, in the beginning, because I can see myself when I was in my 20s. I knew stuff, but I wasn't assertive. Definitely was a skill that I learned actually when I came in Abu Dhabi working in for Etihad Airways, where I had to interact with so many nationalities, and one of the advice was, and in the training was actually to learn how to be assertive and how to communicate. So I can see as a great resource to have that initial leader that believes in you and sees
Yeah.
your true potential.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important for any young person starting off in any career. It's to have that solid foundation in terms of strong, good leadership. I mean, like I said, my entire work environment, I have been very fortunate to have good leadership. But there was circumstances where obviously you don't have good leadership, and that affects you because it affects your mental health, it affects your well-being, it obviously sets you back in terms of your career aspirations. But at the end of the day, is those leaders, strong leadership impacts you in terms of going forward, because you need to be coached, you need to think about things, because the youth are the future. And the youth is basically going to be the next generation. So we are Generation X, we'll be gone soon. So the new generation has to come in. So you have to groom and basically develop them for the future in terms of skills and development. And I think you want to, and for me, I'm very passionate. Like I said, I'm always passionate, and I love empowering, skilling, and developing the youth. And I'm very, very, strong on motivating them, because I believe that if they have that solid foundation starting off, and who knows where they'll go from there. And it's important, and I believe that if you can change one life, you've made a difference. So if you change many lives, how much of differences you make? Because the youth, obviously they're young, they're vulnerable, they don't know where they're going, they're not sure where they want to go. So it's important that you give them that stability and give them that strong foundation to be able to say, guys, this is where you need to go. Give them advice, coach them, give them options, because it's daunting for any young person, I would think.
And
Yeah, thanks, Anna.
especially now that
Mhm.
everything is on social media, and even
Correct.
that judgment, some might fear like, oh, and even self-judgment in the end of the day, right? When seeing so many, let's say, successes on the YouTube,
Mm.
Instagram, whatever that is,
Yes.
and it can be really challenging seeing yourself and seeing your flaws because you can see them firsthand.
Yeah.
And we have that self-judgment that impacts our development. So definitely it's important to have people like yourself
Yeah.
paying it forward, right? Because we learned from
Yeah.
our teachers and now we're paying it forward.
Pay it forward, absolutely, because you know what, social media as well has a huge impact on the young. And I think I've mentioned mental illness a lot in this podcast, is because it affects your well-being. It obviously leads to your confidence, and it breaks your self-esteem, and you obviously feel like you want to compete a certain level with everybody and everyone. And I always say to everybody, you know what, there's enough celebrities out there. Be unique, and even with management, proposal engineering, bids and proposals are unique selling points to your customer. Everything is different. So be different, set yourself apart from everybody, everyone. And I think it's important that they feel that they are valued. You need to really understand there's the whole world of options out there. They can branch into any aspect of their career. They mustn't be restricted. They must feel that they are not given that advice to be able to go forward. And I think if I've been given that advice, and I've been given that good leadership in my life, I want to, like I said, pay it forward, empower, grow, and upskill the youth, because they obviously are going to take forward they're going to change the world. So we must be able to give them those foundation and tools to be able to move forward.
For sure. And I'm very curious. When I started the podcast, to be honest, I don't know where this question came from my mind. Um, it was like, if we are to look at a scale of 1 to 10, 1 you were the worst, and 10 you were the best. How good were you at asking for help when you were in your 20s?
I think my self-esteem and my motivation was extremely low when I was in my youth, because from a scale to 1 to 10, I think would maybe be a 3 or 4, because I was too scared. You're always scared. You're very scared because you don't know if you're going to make a mistake. And I always want to say that, if you make mistakes, it's all right, because failure is a stepping stone to success. And you need to understand that for every mistake you make, you're learning from that. Those are lessons learned. And you develop from there, and you become stronger from there, and you can know that going forward not to make those same mistakes again. And so obviously starting off as being vulnerable and being gullible at that age, you're young, you're naive, you're not knowing what to do and where to go. But I think my motivation was 3 to 4, and it's taken me years to build to get to where I am now. And I think for a young person, they mustn't feel that they mustn't be scared to ask. For me, there's no question that's wrong. There's no question that's wrong. Every question that you ask, there's always an answer. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to raise your hands and put yourself out there, and because that's the only way you're going to learn. So don't be afraid. Just venture out and ask questions and research, and that's the only way you become better and you improve yourself, and you learn so much. Yeah. Thanks, Anna.
Yeah. And it's so interesting too, because like the common thread, like looking back, this is episode 17 recording, or 18, is it? I lost count.
Well done, Anna. That's amazing.
Thank you. But like the common thread is like when we were in our 20s, we were quite bad at asking for help. So the average would be around 3. I had guests saying like even 1. And
Yeah,
it's
sure.
fascinating because now like they're full-grown professionals, experts in their field, and now they're confident, they're competent, and it's
Yeah.
amazing to see the growth, and to because it's so when you're in that age group, it's kind of hard to see that future, perhaps imagining, well, when I'm going to be in my 30s or in my 40s, I'm going to know how to do things. So it's okay now to feel that I'm scared. It's okay to feel that I don't know how to ask for help, or I don't know who to ask for help, or if it's okay to ask for help. So even that, it's just a journey that it seems we all go through.
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
human beings in the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's important that you touched on the human being, because the human element is so important in any way of life. In just normal speaking, general life, the human element is so critical. Management need to understand that they have to be very much approachable, because we need to take that stigma away from where management is seen to be very hierarchical and very autocratic, because obviously we've moved a long way. We've evolved a long way in terms of autocratic, management, where we need to enforce growth and foster environment that is conducive to working. And I think that the young are very impressionable. You need to be able to lead with purpose, and it's funny, I just attended a session at one of the universities, Stellenbosch University in Cape Town, where they talk about rehumanizing leadership. And it's important. You have to put the human element back into leadership, using empathy, compassion, getting to know your employees personally, and also making sure that they're just not a number, because your staff is your asset at the end of the day. Without your staff, how do you produce the results, and how do you become results driven? So it's important as a leader that you lead with a defined purpose. You need to align your goals and your mission with that of your company's organizational vision and mission, and be able to, I think you need to basically rear in all the youth, rear in your staff, rear in everybody and everyone, because those fresh ideas and new innovative ideas is what's going to make your company grow. So you need to give them the opportunity to express who they are. I think that if you hinder people from growth, you're hindering the company in terms of their performance. So one goal, no silo mentality, one company, one vision. I think it's important to have that kind of mind frame, because that's what leadership is all about.
And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to be living in these times, to be able to witness and to be part of this movement of leadership with
Yes.
heart. And we're
Yes.
humanizing companies. And like you said, we're more than just a staff number. We're people having lives,
Yeah.
having
So.
concerns, having good days, bad days. That's just normal. So the
Mm,
faster we start to acknowledge these things, that we didn't upgrade to robots, right? We're not in the
absolutely.
Terminator area.
Absolutely. And that's a very good point you brought up, Anna, because people think we're obviously living in the 21st century where everything is so technology based. We are not computers. I mean, the human element will always be there. We will not be replaced by computers. I don't think that anything can be, our role can't be computerized. Yes, certain functionalities can be automated in terms of tools and, but you need that human person to be able to provide that differentiator, those unique, selling points to your customer. A computer can't do that. They don't know your customer personally on that relationship perspective. So I think that, having said that, your staff is your asset. And I don't want people, especially the young people, to be feeling like, walking into a corporate environment, it's going to scare them and put them in, stick them in a corner where they won't be able to grow. I think if you hire talent, you're hiring the top-notch talent people, give them free reign, give them the opportunity to express who they are, because you employ them for that purpose. So let them do what they know best. And give them the opportunity and the windows, like I said, to open up the windows of opportunity to them, because we're living in an era of innovation and creativity. We're living in an era of obviously digital transformation. So the youth has that, they're coming out fresh out of university. They have the concepts, the designs, fresh new thinking. So we need to apply that in our work environment to go forward. Thanks, Anna.
Yes,
Yeah.
and to be honest, that is the future. Like if we want stable future, we have to look, even though it's uncomfortable, to look at yourself, to identify your gaps in knowledge or in skills or social skills, soft skills. We
Yeah.
really have to look at those and to understand our emotions, understand our triggers, understand the language that we're using, because some
Yes.
language can raise you up, some language can put you down. So it's very
Yeah.
important to know the
Yeah. Good.
difference and to foster the mindset to encourage solution generation, and to have that mindset where yeah, we can rent for 5 minutes and we can put the clock to, like, we just want to unwind and start
Yes.
everything over,
Yes.
whatever we need to
Yeah.
jump, right? But put a time frame, like 5 minutes max, and then start generating solutions.
Absolutely. I think it's important that people realize that also human threshold. Everybody needs that human threshold working environment, especially, like I said, in bids and proposals. Sometimes does become very pressurized and you have lots of volume of responses. So it's important that, you need that break to breathe, to recollect your thoughts, reflect, and come back and then synchronize yourself back with the team. So it's important that people understand, like I said, going forward, is that how we approach things. We need to be very tactful when dealing with individuals, and be able to understand. And I think it takes a very special person to manage people. It takes a very special person to foster the young, and to I think, me being a single mom as well, I think I've learned it's sometimes tough love. You have to, there's a time and place for everything. So in management, you need to know when to apply, being subtle, and then obviously, bringing in a bit of tough, management stuff. But it's the way you do it, the approach in which you do it, it can be very detrimental to one's being. So how you approach it has to be very, very, very professional. I always say criticism is healthy, but and it can be, but how you express it and how you approach it is very important, because you can tarnish someone's reputation, you can tarnish someone's self-esteem and confidence, and break them, and to repair it takes a very long time. So just people have to, I think management has to be careful, and especially with the youth. And also, like I said, it affects your mental health. So we must be very careful how we approach the very young people today, because it's you don't want to hurt people. And I think that, we're living in a society where, things are taken so harshly that, people end up, committing suicide and things like that, because obviously you affected them. So I think it's important to be very, very careful in how you manage people, and how you, just be professional in anything you do, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And like going back to, if there are any misconceptions about the industry or the career, what would that be? Because I have no clue. Nothing comes to mind. So I'm very curious to hear your perspective. What
Yeah.
are the typical misconceptions people have about this career?
There's actually three things. Number one is the misconception that the role is extremely administrative. Number two is that you burn the midnight oil. Number three is that there's no growth. So all of those misconceptions are totally wrong. We have evolved so much from where we were. Early on in the career, we learned that, the role has become so administrative. In one of the articles that are released, it was actually in the magazines, I said that the role is more like a cosmetic agent. You're dotting your I's, crossing your T's all the time, and you're so stuck on formatting, making the documents look beautiful, and whatever the case may be. So it generally comes across as being very administrative, but it's not, because every opportunity is unique. Every proposal is unique. You have the free, like I said, range design proposals and make it any way you want to. If you've got boilerplates, company templates, use that as a platform, or use that to leverage on, and then develop from there. Burning the midnight oil, we've come so far. No more, I think management, it all boils down to management. If you have good management that has the set parameters in place, set measurements in place, making sure that people adhere to normal office working hours, you're going to get, yes, maybe an odd occasion if you work in a very large, complex deal with a very diverse cultures and different services and products offered, which is complex, that you have to maybe allow yourself. But that's a very one or two occasions that you'll be able to work the midnight on. If you plan yourself properly, if you have a task and deliverables timetable, a project schedule that says, okay, you want this by certain time, you set your time frames, you won't work late. You are in control of that. So you can say, I don't want it, and you set that bar and set that standard. And so we've evolved. There's no late hours and everything like it used to be. And last, growth. No one would think that you would grow in bid management. I mean, like I said, you can start off being as an administrator, and then you can grow into junior bid manager, and then a senior bid manager, focusing more on strategic deal management, value propositions, all of that. So you have that design element, and then get into a management role where you become a team leader, and then later on in life, bid directors. So there's so much of growth opportunities. It's really transformed, I would think. So definitely those are the misconceptions, and we've come a long way, like I've said. Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, I can see the growth, and it's really exciting, and it's good to know that is an option, right?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you, thank you. And finally, what's one piece of advice that you would like to give somebody considering or perhaps curious about this career?
I think that if someone has the flair for design, if you like maybe designing templates and boilerplates and presentations, graphic designing is one of the elements. You can use that to start into bid management, to be able to work with marketing and design templates and wow presentation and formats for companies. That's an excellent, I could say, if you've got that skill, that's something you can definitely look at. If you have a passion for proposal writing, if you love English language, like the opportunity to wow your customers with beautiful proposals and writing a consistency story that's compelling and comprehensive, then obviously this is something for you. And also, if you desire to work with a variety of different people around the globe, whether you're working for an international company or a local company, if you have that desire to cross skill yourself in terms of different products and services, different industries, this is definitely for you, because it doesn't restrict you. It doesn't restrict you to working in one specific industry. You've got the tools and the skills. You can go into any industry. So this is something that they would love to do. And also, like I said, if you understand, if you're consistent and you like planning, you like organization, you like doing presentations to customers, getting involved in the solution designing of the proposals. So these are different aspects you can get involved in. There's so much more in terms of different variety of roles you can go into in bid management. But if you love those kind of skills and those kind of practices, this is something that definitely, if you've got those things, then this would definitely offer you that diversity and variety. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that insight. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us that I haven't asked you, perhaps?
I think, thanks, Anna, for the opportunity, first and foremost. I think that, I just want people to understand, and I want obviously students and obviously the young to understand that, when you're starting off a career, you have to start somewhere. And, if you start into a very junior role, don't let that first experience, sidetrack you or take you away from focusing on the bigger dream. Stick with it. I'm typically that one example that stuck with it. It hasn't been easy, like I said, an easy road, but as you climb and as you develop yourself and you grow more and more, you learn to love what you do. And give that you get the opportunity to share knowledge. You get the opportunity to work with, like I said, that whole working with different cultures and different people across the globe and different people. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Because you're not restricting yourself in terms of your mindset as well, and you're learning and you're developing constantly. So I mean, that's awesome, and that's what you want to do, because every day should be a learning experience. So you learn and you grow and you learn and you grow. And I think that knowledge is power. Once you have that, the world's your oyster. You can do anything from there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you so much. Thank you. What's next for you? And how can people get in touch with you?
I think next, obviously, I'm working with a lot of, global like-minded individuals. I'm working with a lot of people in the UAE for creating bid forums in the UAE. So that will be launched. We're supposed to launch in 2020. Obviously, COVID-19 has impacted us. So there's been a delay in that. But going forward, definitely we are going to host a lot of bid forums. I'm very passionate about training and coaching. That will be part of my initiative as well, to train and coach. And also, I think that with me being in the Middle East, that will be obviously create the platform for people to learn more. It's also to get more involved with the organizations, to make them realize that, create more awareness of bid management in the organizations, because it's become very like a factory process, a very robust process, and it's to turn around that whole perception of it. Obviously, with the APMP and obviously with the bid forums, it's an opportunity to empower people, to grow people, and also I'm very strong on women in empowerment. So one of my initiatives will be starting a forum with that regard. And also the last thing is to basically share, and I think as a freebie, I would love the opportunity to share someone that's passionate about bid management and proposal management. I'm more than available to coach them, to give them guidance, to give them the proper, career advice and solid advice, and give them obviously be true and transparent in terms of, what the role entails, and make them understand and make them find that there's so much opportunities that they can look at when they look at bid and proposal managers. So I'm definitely keen on that, and I'm available on LinkedIn for any opportunities and coaching, and yeah, definitely I'm there to support anybody or anyone who needs help. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you. We will share your details in the show notes with our listeners, with also our viewers from YouTube and the other channels. Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you. Such an inspiration. I learned so much about this career that I didn't know was possible to have such a in-depth career path. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks so much for your time, and I really enjoyed the session. And yeah, I look forward to coming to Dubai and obviously sharing all my wealth and experience with everybody and everyone. And yeah, I'm free to be contacted on LinkedIn. So yeah, definitely. But thank you so much for this session and for the opportunity again. Thank you.
Thank you.